Insight 2.5 has changed quite a lot, so I need to show Insight for a scatter plot once again. Remember, we collected the data from Vardo, mostly Vardo village and surrounding areas. There are 3 islands, so we know the context. This is the dashboard of Insight 2.5. Run Insight. It takes a bit of time, normally about 10 seconds. I bring in the data. This is the data I got from the island. You collected it in the class. Get some idea about the variables. Remember, we had a relationship type questions. We are trying to figure out if there is any relationship between the sodium intake and blood pressure. Well, that's the systolic blood pressure. This is the diastolic blood pressure of the islanders. We want to investigate if there is any relationship between the sodium intake, I drag and drop, and the systolic blood pressure of the islanders. Prior warning, the sample is pretty small, so it's not going to give exact idea about the scatter plot, but in this unit, in this occasion, we want to find out how to operate Insight and get a reasonable scatter plot. Let's go for plot. We want to add certain features to the plot. And we want to add trend curve. And what sort of curve do we want? At the moment, we want to get a linear curve. It's a blue line. That's what we call trend line or line of best fit, which is drawn by the least square method. We'll talk about that later on. We can do various things. We can add more features with that graph. We can code more variables. We can do the color coding by the diastolic pressure. That gives you certain other extra feature. We'll talk about that later on. We can go for adding some extra variables. We can create more variables. This is where we enter the new variable. Before we do that, we got to get the summary, and this is the linear function. Y-intercept is negative 503.8. In context, we got to think about it. The gradient is 1.955. We need to understand it in depth, times it by the sodium content. I am going to highlight the equation, and then I'm going to copy the equation by going for Control v, just let me call it equation. And then I'm going to submit it. That's how I created a new equation. At some stage I'm going to talk about the residual with the class, but right now I'm going to show you how to draw the residual points. So I'm going to create a new variable, call it residuals, and the residual is the observed, which is observed variable, which is BP underscore system. I'll write that down, BP underscore system. Let me see if I have correctly printed it. Okay, now I got to change that s to lowercase, and then I'm going to subtract the equation. And while I'm writing the equation, I got to be very careful with the spelling. And then I'm going to submit it, and that's how I get the residuals. I am going to drag and drop the residuals over there and drag and drop equations, and that gives me the residual graph which you will require to show for merit and excellence type of answer. Thank you very much for watching my video.